Welcome to the ultimate guide to the 25 best places to visit in Asia for 2026. Discover breathtaking destinations, legendary street food, and centuries of history across the continent. From neon Tokyo to the ancient temples of Angkor Wat, and from Palawan beaches to Petra's desert canyons, this is your Asia bucket list. In this video, you will discover the top tourist attractions in countries like Japan, South Korea, China, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, India, Nepal, Turkey, and the UAE. You will also find must-try local food and street food recommendations at every stop. Learn the history and culture behind each destination to better appreciate what you see. Get insider travel tips to help you plan your own Asia trip with confidence. Section 1 covers East Asia. Section 2 highlights Southeast Asia. Section 3 explores South Asia. Section 4 covers West and Central Asia. Then final thoughts and wrap up. Featured places include Kyoto, Tokyo, Seoul, Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Taipei. Also featured are Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Bali, Hanoi, Ha Long Bay, Siem Reap, Singapore, and Kuala Lumpur. You will see Palawan, Jaipur, Agra, Varanasi, Kathmandu, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives featured in the list. The list finishes with Istanbul, Dubai, and the ancient city of Petra. If you enjoyed this Asia travel guide, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more weekly guides. Travel information is accurate as of filming, so please check current visa, safety, and entry requirements before booking. Asia is the biggest continent on Earth, and somehow still the most underrated when it comes to travel. You're going to see the 25 best places to visit across this entire continent, from ancient temples that are older than most countries, to street food stalls that will change how you think about eating, to landscapes so surreal they don't even look real on camera. We're covering East Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East. The food, the history, and the exact reasons these places belong on your bucket list. Stick around, because number 1 might not be what you expect. Let's get into it. We're starting where the sun rises first, East Asia. Ancient dynasties, futuristic cities, and some of the best food on the planet. Number 1, Kyoto, Japan. Kyoto was the imperial capital of Japan for over 1,000 years, and it still feels like it. This is where you'll find the Fushimi Inari Shrine, with its thousands of red torii gates climbing up the mountainside, and the Arashiyama Bamboo Grove, one of the most photographed forests in the world. Kiyomizu-dera, a wooden temple built without a single nail, with a large wooden stage offering sweeping views over the city. Gion District, Kyoto's famous geisha quarter, with preserved Machiya wooden townhouses, tea houses, and with luck, sightings of Geico and Maiko heading to appointments. Nijo Castle, a former shogun residence known for its nightingale floors, designed to chirp when walked on to warn of intruders. Food to try kaiseki, Kyoto's traditional multi-course haute cuisine, built around seasonal ingredients and refined presentation. Yudofu, simmered tofu, a specialty tied to Kyoto's Buddhist temple cuisine, Shojin Ryori. Matcha sweets. Kyoto is a major matcha-producing region, especially nearby Uji. So soft serve, wagashi, and tea ceremonies are everywhere. Nishiki Market, nicknamed Kyoto's Kitchen. A covered market street great for pickles, skewers, and small local bites. Kyoto was founded in 794 as Heian-kyo and remained the imperial capital for over 1,000 years, until the capital moved to Tokyo in 1868. It's one of the few major Japanese cities that escaped large-scale World War II bombing. Kyoto was reportedly removed from the atomic bomb target list specifically because of its cultural and historical significance, which is part of why so many original wooden temples and traditional neighborhoods still survive today. The city has 17 UNESCO World Heritage Sites within and around it, more than almost anywhere else in Japan. Number 2, Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo is Japan's capital and the world's most populous metropolitan area, with over 37 million people in the greater metro region. It's a city where centuries-old shrines sit blocks away from some of the densest, most futuristic urban districts on Earth. Top attractions, Shibuya Crossing, the busiest pedestrian crossing in the world, with up to 3,000 people crossing at once during peak times. Sensoji Temple, Asakusa. Tokyo's oldest temple, founded in 645 AD, fronted by the iconic Kaminarmon, Thunder Gate, and a bustling market street, Nakamisedori. Shinjuku, home to the neon-soaked Kabukicho district, the free-to-visit Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building observation deck, and Golden Guy's tiny alleyway bars. Tokyo has this thing where you can go from total silence to sensory overload in about 10 minutes. I'm standing inside Meiji Shrine, tucked in this forested park, and it's completely still. But walk 20 minutes and you hit TeamLab Planets, where you're wading through water in a room full of infinite digital flowers. Same city, completely different universe. Tokyo Skytree, Tokyo Tower, the two big observation towers for skyline views, with Skytree being the taller, more modern option. Akihabara, the center of anime, manga, and electronics culture. Food to try sushi, the Tsukiji Outer Market, the old inner wholesale market moved to Toyosu, but the outer market still thrives, is a classic spot for fresh sushi breakfast. Ramen, Tokyo has thousands of shops, many tiny and specialized. Regional styles like tonkotsu, shoyu, and miso ramen are all well represented. Conveyor belt sushi and convenience store food, genuinely excellent and a fun, affordable way to eat like a local. Yakitori alleys, like Omoide Yokocho near Shinjuku Station, a narrow lane of tiny grilled skewer bars. Depachika, the elaborate food halls in the basements of department stores, great for high-quality bento and desserts. Tokyo was originally a small fishing village called Edo. It became the seat of power in 1603 when Tokugawa Ieyasu made it his shogunate's capital, kicking off the Edo period. It was renamed Tokyo, Eastern Capital, in 1868 when the emperor moved there from Kyoto, ending Kyoto's thousand-year run as capital. The city was almost completely rebuilt twice in the 20th century, after the 1923 Great Kanto earthquake and after World War II firebombing, which is part of why its architecture is so overwhelmingly modern compared to Kyoto. Number 4. Beijing is China's capital and has been the political center of the country for most of the last 800 years, serving as the seat of power for the Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties, and now the People's Republic of China. Top attractions: Forbidden City, the imperial palace complex housing 24 emperors across the Ming and Qing dynasties, with nearly 1,000 surviving buildings spread over 180 acres. It was the largest palace complex in the world and off-limits to commoners for 500 years, hence the name. The Great Wall, several accessible sections near Beijing, including Badaling, most tourist and easiest to reach, and Mutianyu, less crowded, well-restored, with cable car access. Temple of Heaven, a stunning circular complex where Ming and Qing emperors performed annual ceremonies to pray for good harvests. Tiananmen Square, one of the largest public squares in the world, sitting just south of the Forbidden City. Summer Palace, a vast imperial garden complex built around Kunming Lake, used as a retreat from the summer heat. Hutongs, narrow historic alleyways and courtyard neighborhoods, best explored around the Nanluoguxiang or Shichahai areas for a feel of old Beijing. Food to try: Peking duck, Beijing's signature dish, roasted for a crisp lacquered skin and traditionally carved tableside, served with thin pancakes, scallions, and hoisin-style sauce. Quanjut and Dadong are two of the most famous spots. Jianbing, a savory folded crepe, one of the best breakfast street foods in the city. Jiajiangmian, wheat noodles topped with a fermented soybean paste sauce, a Beijing home-style classic. Hot pot, while more associated with Sichuan Chongqing, Beijing has its own copperpot mutton hot pot tradition, Xuanyangru. Beijing has been a capital city on and off for roughly 800 years, first under the Mongol-led Yuan dynasty. Kublai Khan made it his capital in the 13th century. Then the Ming and Qing dynasties. The Forbidden City was built between 1406-1420 under the Ming dynasty's Yongle Emperor, and remained the imperial home until the last emperor, Puyi, was expelled in 1924. The section of the Great Wall visible near Beijing today is mostly Ming Dynasty construction, 14th-17th century, built to defend against northern invasions, though wall building in China dates back over 2,000 years to earlier dynasties. Number 5. Shanghai, China. Shanghai is China's largest city and its financial and commercial hub, a place where 1920s colonial-era architecture faces off against one of the most futuristic skylines on the planet, right across the same river. Top attractions: the Bund, a waterfront promenade lined with early 20th century European-style buildings, banks, trading houses, from Shanghai's era as an international treaty port, looking directly across the Huangpu River at the ultramodern Pudong skyline. Pudong Skyline, home to the Oriental Pearl Tower, Jinmao Tower, Shanghai World Financial Center, and the Shanghai Tower, the second tallest building in the world, all lit up dramatically at night. I've walked through a lot of old cities, but Shanghai has something most of them lost. Yu Garden sits right in the middle of a Ming Dynasty maze, surrounded by this wild bazaar full of street food and noise. But then you walk 20 minutes west and you're suddenly in Paris. The French concession still has these tree-covered streets and old lane houses that feel like they haven't changed in 100 years. Most cities pick one version of themselves. Shanghai just kept both. Food to try, xiaolongbao, soup dumplings. Shanghai is the birthplace of this dish. Look for them fresh and steaming, never pre-frozen. Nanxiang Mantu Dian near Yu Garden is a famous, if touristy, spot. Shangjianbao, pan-fried pork buns with a crispy bottom and soupy filling, a Shanghai breakfast staple. Hairy crab, dajiaxi, a seasonal delicacy, typically autumn, prized for its roe. Hongxiao Ru, Shanghai-style braised pork belly, sweet and savory, slow-cooked in soy and sugar. Shanghai grew rapidly after being forced open as a treaty port following the First Opium War, 1842, when Britain, France, and other foreign powers established concessions, self-governed enclaves, which is why so much European-style architecture survives along the Bund and in the former French concession. By the 1920s-30s, Shanghai was known as the Paris of the East, a cosmopolitan hub of finance, nightlife, and international intrigue. The Pudong district, now home to the futuristic skyline, was mostly farmland until the early 1990s. Its transformation into a financial center happened in just a few decades. Number 6. Hong Kong is a dense, vertical city built into steep mountains along the South China Sea, known for having one of the most dramatic skylines in the world, and for blending British colonial history with Cantonese culture. Top attractions: Victoria Peak, the highest point on Hong Kong Island, reachable by the historic Peak Tram, opened in 1888, offering sweeping views over the harbor and skyline, especially stunning at sunset. Victoria Harbor, Symphony of Lights, a nightly light and laser show synchronized across dozens of buildings on both sides of the harbor. Star Ferry, one of the cheapest, most iconic ways to cross the harbor between Hong Kong Island and Kowloon, running since 1888. Manmo Temple, an atmospheric 19th century Taoist temple filled with enormous hanging incense coils. Tiantan Buddha, Big Buddha, a massive bronze Buddha statue on Lantau Island, reachable by cable car with panoramic mountain and sea views. Temple Street Night Market, a lively Kowloon market for street food, fortune tellers, and bargain shopping. Food to try: dim sum. Hong Kong is one of the best places in the world for it. Go early for the freshest rolling carts at classic spots like Lin Hyung Tea House or modern Michelin-starred versions like Tim Ho Wan. Wonton noodles? Thin egg noodles with shrimp and pork wontons in a light broth. A Hong Kong staple, roast goose, char siu, hanging in the windows of countless roast meat shops. Look for the ones with long local lines, egg tarts and pineapple buns. Classic Hong Kong bakery treats, best from an old-school Cha Chan Teng, local diner. Hong Kong was ceded to Britain after the First Opium War in 1842 and remained a British colony, with the new territories added on a 99-year lease in 1898. For over 150 years. It was returned to China in 1997 under the One Country, Two Systems framework, which was designed to preserve Hong Kong's distinct legal and economic system for 50 years. This colonial history is why Hong Kong still has English street signs, a mix of British and Cantonese culture, and its own currency, Hong Kong dollar, separate from mainland China. Number 7. Taipei is Taiwan's capital, a relaxed, food-obsessed city ringed by mountains, known for its night markets, hot springs, and a mix of Japanese colonial, Chinese, and modern influences. Top attractions: Taipei 101, once the tallest building in the world, 2004-2010, with an observation deck and a famous 728-ton steel tuned mass damper ball visible inside, designed to stabilize the tower during earthquakes and typhoons. National Palace Museum, home to one of the largest collections of Chinese imperial artifacts in the world, moved from Beijing's Forbidden City in the 1940s. Longshan Temple, a beautifully ornate Taoist and Buddhist temple dating to 1738, still an active place of worship in the middle of the city. Beitu Hot Springs, a mountain district within Taipei with natural volcanic hot springs and a public thermal valley. Elephant Mountain, Jiangshan, a short, popular hike for one of the best skyline views of Taipei 101. Jufin, Day Trip, a hillside former mining town with lantern-lit tea houses, said to have partly inspired the setting of Spirited Away. I flew 7,000 miles to eat three things in Taipei. First up, beef noodle soup, the city's unofficial signature dish. Then xiaolongbao at Din Tai Fung, the original location where soup dumplings became legendary. But the real test? Stinky tofu at a night market. It's fermented, deep-fried, and you can smell it from a block away. Total rite of passage, bubble tea. Invented in Taiwan in the 1980s, Taichung is often credited specifically. And Taipei has countless shops perfecting it. Night market grazing, Shilin and Raohe are the two most famous night markets, great for oyster omelets, grilled skewers, and guabao, Taiwanese pork belly buns. Taiwan was a Japanese colony from 1895 to 1945, which left a lasting architectural and culinary influence still visible in Taipei today. After the Chinese Civil War, the nationalist KMT government retreated to Taiwan in 1949, bringing with them the imperial art collection now housed in the National Palace Museum, considered one of the greatest collections of Chinese art anywhere. Taiwan's political status remains a sensitive and contested topic between Taipei and Beijing, which is worth knowing as context if it comes up in conversation while traveling. That's East Asia, but we're just getting started. Coming up, the temples, beaches, and jungles of Southeast Asia, including one destination so photographed it might be the most recognizable temple complex on the planet. Number 8. Bangkok is Thailand's sprawling, chaotic, endlessly energetic capital. A city of glittering temples, canal life, world-class street food, and nightlife, all packed together. Top attractions, the Grand Palace, the former official residence of the kings of Siam, and home to Wat Phra Kaew, the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, one of Thailand's most sacred sites. Wat Arun, Temple of Dawn, a striking riverside temple decorated with colorful porcelain, best viewed from across the Chao Phraya River at sunset. Wat Pho, home to a massive 46-meter reclining Buddha covered in gold leaf, and considered the birthplace of traditional Thai massage. Chatuchak Weekend Market, one of the largest markets in the world, with thousands of stalls selling everything from clothing to antiques to street food. Chao Phraya River and Klong's canals, boat rides through Bangkok's canal neighborhoods, offer a glimpse of a slower, older way of life. Floating markets, Damnon Sajuak or Amphawa just outside the city. Vendors selling food and produce from wooden boats. Food to try: pad thai, stir-fried rice noodles with egg, tofu or shrimp, tamarind and peanuts, best from a street cart with a well-worn wok. Tom Yum Goong, a hot and sour shrimp soup, one of Thailand's most iconic dishes. Mango sticky rice, sweet coconut sticky rice with fresh mango, a classic dessert. Some tam, green papaya salad. Spicy, tangy, and pounded fresh to order. Street food streets, Yaowarat, Bangkok's Chinatown, and Sukhumvit Soi 38 are legendary for late-night eating. Bangkok has more Michelin-starred street food stalls than almost anywhere else on Earth. The Grand Palace has served as the official residence of the kings of Siam since 1782, when King Rama I founded the Chakri dynasty and moved the capital to Bangkok after the fall of the former capital, Ayutthaya. Thailand, formerly Siam, is the only Southeast Asian country never colonized by a European power, which shapes a strong sense of national identity still visible in its temples and monarchy today. The Emerald Buddha housed at Wat Phra Kaew has a storied history. It's been fought over and relocated between Thailand, Laos, and back again over centuries. Number 9. Chiang Mai is northern Thailand's cultural capital, a slower, greener, mountain-ringed city that was once the seat of its own independent kingdom, and today is known for its temples, hill tribes, and laid-back atmosphere. Top attractions: Wat Phra That Doi Suthep, a golden temple perched on a mountain about 15 kilometers outside the city, reached by a 300-step Naga serpent staircase, offering sweeping views over Chiang Mai. Old city temples. Chiang Mai's historic center is ringed by a moat and old city walls, packed with over 300 temples, including Wat Chetty Luang and Wat Phra Singh. Elephant sanctuaries, ethical no-riding sanctuaries around Chiang Mai, let visitors feed, bathe, and observe rescued elephants rather than ride them. Sunday Walking Street Market, a massive night market that takes over the old city's main road every Sunday evening. Doa Inthanon National Park, home to Thailand's highest peak, waterfalls, and hill tribe villages, popular as a day trip. Chiang Mai Night Bazaar, a large permanent night market great for handicrafts and street food. You haven't actually tasted Chiang Mai until you've had these 3 dishes. I spent 2 weeks eating my way through the city, and these are the ones locals kept pointing me towards. First, khao soi, the coconut curry noodle soup. You genuinely can't find like this anywhere else. Then sai owa, this grilled herb sausage packed with lemongrass and galangal that's nothing like what you'd call sausage back home. And nam prik noom, a roasted green chili dip you scoop with sticky rice and vegetables, proper Northern Thai style. Kantoke dinners, traditional Northern Thai set meals eaten while seated on the floor, often paired with a cultural dance performance. Chiang Mai was founded in 1296 as the capital of the independent Lana Kingdom, which controlled much of northern Thailand and parts of modern-day Laos and Myanmar for centuries before being absorbed into Siam. Because of this separate history, the city has its own distinct dialect, cuisine, and temple architecture style compared to central and southern Thailand. Wat Phra, that Doi Suthep's founding legend, involves a white elephant carrying a Buddha relic up the mountain and dying at the spot where the temple now stands. Number 10. Bali is Indonesia's most famous island. A small stretch of land with a huge variety of landscapes, from lush rice terraces and jungle waterfalls to volcanic peaks and surf beaches, all wrapped in a distinct Hindu culture unlike anywhere else in mostly Muslim Indonesia. Top attractions, Tegalalang Rice Terraces. Dramatic steppe green rice paddies near Ubud, one of the most photographed landscapes in Bali. Tanah Lot, a sea temple perched on a rock formation just offshore, especially striking at sunset. Uluwatu Temple, a clifftop temple on Bali's southern tip, famous for ocean views and traditional kikak fire dance performances. Ubud, the island's cultural heart, home to the Sacred Monkey Forest Sanctuary, art markets, yoga retreats, and the Ubud Palace. Mount Batur, an active volcano popular for sunrise hikes, with views over a crater lake. Waterfalls, Teganungan and Sekampul are among the most visited, tucked into jungle ravines. Beaches, Seminyak and Canggu for surf and nightlife, Nusa Penida, a short boat ride away, for dramatic cliffs and turquoise water. Food to try nasi goreng, Indonesia's iconic fried rice, typically with egg, chicken, or shrimp, and a fried shallot topping. Babi guling, Balinese roast suckling pig stuffed with spices, a specialty tied to Bali's Hindu ceremonial cuisine, rare in the rest of Muslim-majority Indonesia. Mie goreng, Indonesian fried noodles, a street food staple. Sate lilit, minced spice satay wrapped around lemongrass stalks or bamboo skewers, a distinctly Balinese dish. Warungs, small family-run local eateries, are the best and cheapest way to eat authentically across the island. Bali is unique in Indonesia for remaining predominantly Hindu, practicing a distinct form called Agama Hindu Dharma, blended with local animist traditions, a legacy of Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms that once ruled much of the Indonesian archipelago before Islam became dominant elsewhere. Many of Bali's temples, like Tanah Lot and Uluwatu, date back to the 16th century and were built partly to protect the island from evil sea spirits, according to local tradition. Bali's rice terraces use a centuries-old cooperative irrigation system called subak, recognized by UNESCO as a UNESCO World Heritage Cultural Landscape for its unique blend of spirituality and engineering. Number 11. Hanoi is Vietnam's capital and one of the Southeast Asia's oldest cities, a place where French colonial boulevards, ancient temples, and a chaotic motorbike-filled old quarter all sit within a few blocks of each other. Top attractions, Old Quarter, a maze of 36 narrow streets, each historically named after the guild or good that was traditionally sold there, Silk Street, Silver Street, etc., now packed with shops, cafes, and street food stalls. Wan Kiem Lake, the scenic heart of the city, home to the small Ngok Sun Temple, on an island connected by a red bridge, and a popular spot for locals doing morning Tai Chi. Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, where Vietnam's revolutionary leader lies in state, part of a larger complex including his stilt house and the one-pillar pagoda. Temple of Literature, Vietnam's first national university, founded in 1070, dedicated to Confucius. French Quarter, tree-lined streets with colonial-era architecture, including the Hanoi Opera House. Train Street, a narrow residential street where a working train passes just feet from homes and cafes. Food to try pho, Hanoi is considered the birthplace of this now globally famous noodle soup. The northern version is generally simpler and clearer broth than the southern style. Bun cha, grilled pork patties served with rice noodles, herbs, and dipping sauce, made famous internationally after Anthony Bourdain ate it with Barack Obama in 2016. I watched a guy in Hanoi whip egg yolk into my coffee, and honestly, I wasn't sure if he was making breakfast or a drink. Turns out, this egg coffee thing started in the 1940s when milk was impossible to find. So they just replaced cream with whipped egg yolk, and somehow it worked. Same thing with banh mi. French baguette meets Vietnamese flavors because colonialism left behind bread, and locals made it better. If you want the real stuff, look for the plastic stools with the most locals crowded around. That's where the best food is. Hanoi has been a capital on and off for over 1,000 years, first established as Thang Long, ascending dragon, in 1010 under the Liao dynasty. It became the capital of French Indochina in the late 19th century, which explains the wide boulevards, colonial villas, and Hanoi Opera House still standing in the French Quarter today. The city played a central role in Vietnam's 20th century wars, first against French colonial rule, then as the capital of North Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and Ho Chi Minh remains a deeply revered figure here. Number 12. Ha Long Bay is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in northeastern Vietnam, famous for nearly 2,000 limestone karst islands and islets rising dramatically out of emerald green water, one of the most distinctive natural landscapes anywhere on Earth. Top attractions, overnight cruises. The classic way to experience the bay, sailing past towering karsts, sleeping on board, and often including kayaking and cave visits. Sung Sat Cave, Surprise Cave. One of the largest and most impressive caves in the bay, with dramatic stalactite and stalagmite formations. T-Top Island, a small island with a viewpoint reached by climbing several hundred steps, offering panoramic views over the bay's islands. Kayaking through floating villages. Some tours include paddling through lagoons and past small floating fishing communities that have lived on the bay for generations. Lan Ha Bay, a quieter, less touristed neighboring bay with similar scenery and fewer crowds, increasingly popular as an alternative or add-on. Food to try fresh seafood. Ha Long Bay is a major fishing region, so most cruises and floating restaurants serve grilled or steamed catch straight from the water. Squid, prawns, and local fish are highlights. Cha Muk, squid cakes, a specialty of nearby Ha Long Cat Bai made from freshly pounded squid. Kem Chep Nuong, grilled mussels, a common bayside snack. The name Ha Long translates to descending dragon, tied to a local legend that dragons sent by the gods spat out jewels and jade into the sea to help defend Vietnam from invaders, which then turned into the bay's thousands of islands. Geologically, the karst limestone formations are the result of roughly 500 million years of formation, with the current landscape shaped mainly over the last 20 million years through erosion. The bay was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994, recognized for both its exceptional natural beauty and its geological significance. Number 13. Siem Reap is a city in northwestern Cambodia that serves as the gateway to Angkor Wat and the surrounding Angkor Archaeological Park, one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. Top attractions. Angkor Wat, the largest religious monument on Earth, originally built in the early 12th century as a Hindu temple dedicated to Vishnu, later converted to Buddhist use. Sunrise here, with the temple's silhouette reflected in the surrounding moat, is one of the most iconic travel moments in the world. Angkor Thom in the Bayon, the last great capital of the Khmer Empire, home to the Bayon Temple's famous massive stone faces, carved into dozens of towers. Ta Prohm, the Jungle Temple, left largely unrestored with giant strangler fig and silk cotton tree roots engulfing the ruins. Made famous internationally as a filming location for Tomb Raider. Bante Shrey, a smaller, intricately carved pink sandstone temple, known for some of the finest stone carving in the Angkor complex. Tonle Sap Lake, Southeast Asia's largest freshwater lake, home to floating villages that can be visited by boat. Food to try fish amok. Cambodia's national dish, a mild coconut curry steamed in a banana leaf, traditionally made with freshwater fish from the Tonle Sap. Khmer red curry. Similar to Thai curries, but generally milder, often with beef or chicken and vegetables. Nam Ban Chak. Khmer rice noodles topped with a fish-based green curry sauce, commonly eaten as a breakfast dish. Pub Street. Siem Reap's main tourist strip, good for a mix of Khmer and international food alongside the nightlife. Angkor Wat was built by King Suryavarman II in the early 12th century as the state temple of the Khmer Empire. At its height, the Khmer Empire controlled much of present-day Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and southern Vietnam. Angkor Wat is so significant to Cambodian identity that it appears on the national flag, the only national flag in the world to feature a building. The temples were largely abandoned after the Khmer Empire's decline in the 15th century and gradually reclaimed by jungle. They were rediscovered and popularized in the West by 19th century French explorers, though local Cambodians had continuously known of and maintained parts of the site. Number 14. Singapore is a small, ultra-modern city-state at the tip of the Malay Peninsula, one of the most orderly, futuristic, and food-obsessed cities in the world, built almost entirely on trade and reinvention. Top attractions: Gardens by the Bay, a futuristic nature park famous for its towering super trees, illuminated at night, and climate-controlled biodomes, the Flower Dome and Cloud Forest. Marina Bay Sands, the iconic three-tower hotel topped with a rooftop infinity pool and observation deck overlooking the whole skyline. Merlion Park, home to Singapore's half-lion, half-fish national symbol with the skyline as a backdrop. Chinatown, Little India, and Kampong Glam, Singapore's historic ethnic enclaves, each with distinct temples, mosques, food, and architecture, reflecting the country's multicultural roots. Sentosa Island, a resort island with beaches, Universal Studios Singapore, and other attractions, connected to the mainland by cable car, bridge, or monorail. Hawker centers, open-air food courts that are as much a cultural institution as a place to eat. Food to try: chili crab, Singapore's most famous dish, mud crab in a sweet, tangy, spicy tomato and chili sauce, usually eaten with fried mantou buns to mop up the sauce. Hainanese chicken rice, poached chicken served over rice cooked in chicken fat and stock, considered by many the national dish. Laksa, a spicy coconut curry noodle soup with several regional variations found across the city. Satay, grilled skewered meat with peanut sauce, a hawker center classic. Hawker centers to visit: Maxwell Food Center and Lau Pa Sat are among the most famous, including some stalls with Michelin recognition. Hawker Chan was the first hawker stall in the world to earn a Michelin star. Singapore was founded as a British trading post in 1819 by Sir Stamford Raffles, quickly growing into one of the most important ports in Southeast Asia due to its strategic location on the Strait of Malacca. It became part of the Federation of Malaysia in 1963, but was expelled/separated just 2 years later, in 1965, becoming fully independent, an unplanned split that forced the young country to build its economy essentially from scratch. Since then, Singapore has transformed from a resource-poor port city into one of the wealthiest nations in the world per capita, a trajectory often studied as a model of rapid economic development. Number 15. Kuala Lumpur, often called KL, is Malaysia's capital, a multicultural city where Malay, Chinese, Indian, and colonial influences blend together, anchored by one of the most recognizable skylines in Asia. Top attractions: Petronas Towers, twin 88-story skyscrapers that were the tallest buildings in the world from 1998 to 2004, connected by a famous sky bridge on the 41 St/42 and floors. Batu Caves, a limestone cave complex and Hindu temple just outside the city, marked by a 140-foot golden statue of Lord Murugan at the entrance and a steep staircase of 272 colorful steps. Merdeka Square, the historic square where Malaysia's independence was declared in 1957, surrounded by colonial-era Moorish-style architecture. KL Tower, an observation and telecommunications tower offering panoramic views, including a popular open-air sky deck. Chinatown, Peddling Street, and Little India, brickfields. Distinct ethnic enclaves great for street food, markets, and temples. Islamic Arts Museum, Malaysia, one of the largest collections of Islamic art in Southeast Asia. Food to try: nasi lemak, Malaysia's unofficial national dish, coconut rice served with sambal, fried anchovies, peanuts, cucumber, and a boiled or fried egg. Traditionally a breakfast dish, but eaten any time of day. Satay, grilled skewers with peanut sauce, a common street food across the city's night markets. Roti canai, a flaky griddle-fried flatbread served with curry for dipping, reflecting Malaysia's strong Indian Muslim food influence. Char kway teow, stir-fried flat rice noodles with egg, shrimp, and Chinese sausage, a Malaysian Chinese street food classic. Jalan Alor, one of KL's most famous street food streets, packed with stalls late into the night. Kuala Lumpur, which means muddy river confluence in Malay, began as a small tin mining settlement in the 1850s at the meeting point of two rivers. The town grew rapidly once the British designated it the capital of the Federated Malay States in 1896. Malaysia declared independence from British rule in 1957 at Merdeka Square, a moment central to national identity. The Petronas Towers were completed in 1998 as a deliberate symbol of Malaysia's rapid economic rise. They were funded by the state oil company Petronas and remain a defining image of the country. Number 16. Palawan is a long, narrow island province in the western Philippines, repeatedly ranked among the most beautiful islands in the world for its turquoise lagoons, limestone cliffs, and pristine reefs. Top attractions: El Nido, Palawan's most famous destination, known for its dramatic limestone karst islands, hidden lagoons, Big Lagoon and Small Lagoon, and island hopping tours by boat. Puerto Princesa Subterranean River, Underground River, one of the new 7 wonders of nature, a navigable underground river that runs through a cave system for about 8 kilometers before reaching the sea. Coron, famous for World War II Japanese shipwrecks that can be dived or snorkeled, plus striking lakes like Kayangan Lake, often called the cleanest lake in the Philippines. Honda Bay, a group of small islands near Puerto Princesa, popular for easier, shorter island-hopping day trips. Nakpan Beach, a long, less crowded white sand beach near El Nido. Food to try? Fresh seafood, grilled fish, squid, and shrimp are everywhere, often part of island-hopping tour lunches served on the beach. Kinilaw, a Filipino-style ceviche, raw fish, cooked in vinegar and citrus with onions and chili. Tamulok, a local delicacy of mangrove worms, sometimes eaten raw with vinegar, a genuine adventurous eater dish. Crocodile sisig, a Palawan specialty riff on the classic Filipino sisig, made with crocodile meat, farmed not wild. Palawan's underground river was carved over millions of years and features stalactite and stalagmite formations, some resembling religious and animal figures according to local guides. Coron's shipwrecks date to a September 1944 U.S. air raid during World War II that sank a Japanese naval fleet sheltering in the bay. The wrecks are now a major draw for wreck divers. Palawan has historically been more isolated and less developed than the rest of the Philippines, which is part of why so much of its reef and forest ecosystem has remained comparatively pristine. We're halfway through the list. Next up, South Asia, home to one of the new 7 wonders of the world, and a city many consider the oldest continuously inhabited city on Earth. Number 17, Jaipur, the Pink City, is the capital of Rajasthan and one of India's most striking cities, known for its rose-colored old town, hilltop forts, and royal Rajput history. Top attractions: Hawa Mahal, Palace of Winds, an ornate 5-story pink sandstone facade with 953 small windows, originally built so royal women could observe street life without being seen. Amber Fort, a massive hilltop fort and palace complex overlooking Mauda Lake, known for its mirrored Sheesh Mahal, Hall of Mirrors, and elaborate gates. City Palace, still partly home to Jaipur's former royal family with museums, courtyards, and intricately decorated halls open to visitors. Jantar Mantar, an 18th century astronomical observatory with giant stone instruments, including the world's largest stone sundial. Nahargarh Fort, a fort on the ridge above the city, popular for sunset views over Jaipur. Johari Bazaar and Bapu Bazaar, bustling markets for jewelry, textiles, and traditional Rajasthani crafts. Food to try: Dalbati Churma, a Rajasthani classic. Baked wheat rolls, bati, served with lentil curry, dal, and a sweet crumbled wheat and ghee dessert, churma. Lal mas, a fiery red mutton curry, a traditional Rajput hunting-era dish. Pyaz kachori, a deep-fried pastry stuffed with spiced onion filling, popular as a Jaipur street snack. Gewar, a disc-shaped syrup-soaked sweet particularly associated with Rajasthan and festival seasons. Jaipur was founded in 1727 by Maharaja Sawai Jai Singh II, making it one of India's earliest planned cities, laid out according to principles of Vastu Shastra, traditional Indian architectural science, in a distinctive grid pattern. The city was painted pink in 1876 to welcome the visit of the Prince of Wales, later King Edward VII, a color traditionally associated with hospitality and Rajasthani culture. The tradition has been maintained ever since, with laws still requiring buildings in the old city to keep the pink facade. Amber Fort predates Jaipur itself, having served as the capital of the Kachwaha Rajput dynasty starting in the 16th century, before the seat of power moved to Jaipur. Number 18. Agra, in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, is home to one of the most recognizable buildings in the world and one of the great monuments to love in human history. Top attractions: Taj Mahal, a white marble mausoleum built by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan for his wife, Mumtaz Mahal, widely regarded as the finest example of Mughal architecture and one of the new seven wonders of the world. Agra Fort, a massive red sandstone Mughal fortress and UNESCO World Heritage Site, where Shah Jahan was later imprisoned by his own son with a view of the Taj Mahal from his tower. Mehtab Bagh, a garden complex directly across the river from the Taj Mahal, offering a classic reverse view, especially beautiful at sunset. Itmad Uddaula, the Baby Taj, a smaller, intricately inlaid marble tomb, often considered a precursor in style to the Taj Mahal itself. Fatehpur Sikri, day trip, a stunningly preserved abandoned Mughal capital city about an hour outside Agra. Food to try: Petha, a translucent, syrup-soaked sweet made from ash gourd, Agra's most famous local specialty and a popular souvenir. Mughalai cuisine, rich spiced dishes with roots in the Mughal imperial kitchens, including kebabs, biryanis, and korma, widely available across the city. Bidai and jalebi, a classic Agra breakfast pairing of spiced fried bread with a sweet, syrupy fried dessert. The Taj Mahal was commissioned in 1632 and took roughly 20 years and an estimated 20,000 workers and artisans to complete, using white marble transported from Rajasthan and precious stones sourced from across Asia for its inlay work. Its marble famously changes appearance throughout the day, appearing pinkish at sunrise, brilliant white at midday, and golden under moonlight, due to how the stone reflects different light. Shah Jahan intended to build a mirror-image black marble mausoleum for himself across the river, though this was never completed. He was eventually buried alongside his wife inside the Taj Mahal itself after being deposed by his son, Aurangzeb. Number 19. Varanasi, on the banks of the Ganges River in northern India, is considered one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world and the holiest city in Hinduism. A place of profound spiritual intensity, unlike almost anywhere else on Earth. Top attractions: the Ghats, a series of stone steps lining the Ganges River, used for bathing, ritual, cremation, and prayer. Dasa Swamed Ghat and Manikarnika Ghat, a major cremation ghat, are among the most significant. Ganga Aarti ceremony, a nightly ritual at Dasa Swamed Ghat involving fire, chanting, and synchronized movement by Hindu priests, honoring the river goddess Ganga, widely considered a must-see spiritual spectacle. Kashi Vishwanath Temple, one of the most sacred Hindu temples, dedicated to Lord Shiva, drawing pilgrims from across India. Sunrise boat rides, gliding along the Ganges at dawn to watch the Ghats come alive with bathers, worshippers, and the rising sun is one of Varanasi's defining experiences. Sarnath, a short trip from the city center, the site where the Buddha is believed to have given his first sermon after attaining enlightenment. Food to try: kachori sabzi, a deep-fried stuffed pastry served with spiced vegetable curry, a classic Varanasi breakfast. Banarasi pan, a betel leaf preparation filled with areca nuts, spices, and sometimes sweeteners, famous enough that Banarasi, from Varanasi's older name, Banaras, has become shorthand for a distinctive style of pan across India. Lassi, Thick, sweetened yogurt drink with the century-old Blue Lassi shop near the Ghats being a well-known local institution. Malayo, a delicate, foam-like winter dessert made from milk and saffron, only available in the cooler months. Varanasi is often cited as one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, with archaeological and textual evidence of settlement going back roughly 3,000 years, and Hindu tradition holding it to be far older still, said to be the city of the god Shiva. The city is considered a tirtha, a sacred crossing point between the earthly and spiritual worlds in Hindu belief. Dying and being cremated here is believed by many Hindus to bring moksha, liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Sarnath, just outside the city, marks the location of the Buddha's first teaching around the 5th century BCE, making the greater Varanasi area sacred to both Hinduism and Buddhism. Number 20. Kathmandu is Nepal's capital, nestled in a valley in the shadow of the Himalayas. A city of ancient temples, prayer flags, and mountain culture, and the starting point for most treks toward Everest and the rest of the Himalayan range. Kathmandu has 2 temples where the eyes follow you everywhere. I've spent weeks exploring this city, and these are the ones that stayed with me. Buddhanath is one of the world's largest stupas, ringed by hundreds of prayer wheels at its base. But the real magic is Swayambhunath, perched on a hilltop above the whole valley. It's Nepal's oldest religious site, and yes, the monkeys actually live there. Kathmandu Durbar Square, a plaza of historic palaces, courtyards, and temples that once served as the seat of Nepal's royal Malla and Shah dynasties, though many structures were damaged in the 2015 earthquake. Pashupatinath Temple, one of the most significant Hindu temples in the world, dedicated to Shiva, situated along the Bagmati River, where cremation ceremonies are regularly performed. Tamil, Kathmandu's chaotic, colorful tourist and trekking hub, packed with gear shops, guest houses, and restaurants. Gateway to the Himalayas. Most treks to Everest Base Camp, Annapurna, and other Himalayan routes begin with a flight or drive out of Kathmandu. Food to try: momos, Nepali dumplings, steamed or fried, filled with meat or vegetables, and served with a spicy tomato-based dipping sauce. Arguably, Nepal's most iconic food. Dal bhat, the everyday Nepali staple meal of lentil soup, rice, and vegetable curry, often served with unlimited refills. Nuari cuisine, the traditional food of the Kathmandu Valley's indigenous Nuer people, featuring dishes like choila, spiced grilled meat, and yomri, a sweet rice flour dumpling. Sel roti, a ring-shaped, slightly sweet fried rice bread, often eaten during festivals. The Kathmandu Valley has been a center of trade and culture for over 1,000 years. Historically made up of 3 rival city-states, Kathmandu, Patan, and Bhaktapur, each with its own Durbar Square, all now UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Buddhanath became a major center of Tibetan Buddhism, especially after 1959, when many Tibetan refugees settled in the area following the Chinese takeover of Tibet. A devastating 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck Nepal in April 2015, damaging or destroying many historic structures in the valley, including parts of Kathmandu Durbar Square, much of which has since been carefully restored. Number 21. Sri Lanka is a compact island nation off the southern tip of India, packed with ancient rock fortresses, sacred Buddhist temples, tea-covered highlands, wildlife, and beaches, an outsized amount of variety for its small size. Top attractions: Sigiriya, Lion Rock, an ancient rock fortress rising nearly 660 feet, 200 m above the jungle, built in the 5th century, with the climb passing ancient frescoes and the massive carved lion paws that once formed the entrance. Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic, Kandy, one of the most sacred Buddhist sites in the world, said to house a tooth relic of the Buddha himself, housed within the historic royal city of Kandy. Dambula Cave Temple, a complex of 5 cave shrines carved into a rock filled with statues and painted murals dating back over 2,000 years. Kandy Lake and the Royal Botanical Gardens, Peradeniya, scenic spots near Kandy, with the gardens home to one of the largest orchid collections in Asia. Ella and the Hill Country, scenic tea plantation country reached by one of the world's most famous train rides, with highlights like Nine Arches Bridge and Little Adams Peak. Yala National Park, one of the best places in Asia to spot wild leopards alongside elephants and other wildlife. Food to try: hoppers, appa, bowl-shaped fermented rice and coconut milk crepes, often served with an egg cracked into the center, egg hoppers. Rice and curry, the everyday Sri Lankan meal, typically featuring several vegetable curries alongside rice, meat, or fish, and a coconut sambol. Kotu roti, chopped roti stir-fried with vegetables, egg, and meat, cooked dramatically with rhythmic chopping on a hot griddle. Ceylon tea, Sri Lanka, formerly Ceylon, is one of the world's great tea-growing regions. Visiting a hill country tea plantation and tasting fresh Ceylon tea is a classic experience. Sigiriya was built around 477, 495 AD by King Kasyapa, who reportedly chose the site as a fortified palace after seizing the throne from his father. After his death, it reverted to a Buddhist monastery for centuries. Kandy was the last capital of Sri Lanka's ancient kings, holding out against colonial powers, Portuguese then Dutch, until finally falling to the British in 1815, making it a powerful symbol of Sri Lankan independence and resistance. The Temple of the Tooth relic is considered so significant that, according to tradition, whoever possessed it held the right to rule the land. It has been closely guarded and moved between locations throughout Sri Lankan history to protect it. Number 22. The Maldives is a chain of roughly 1,200 coral islands in the Indian Ocean. They are grouped into 26 atolls. It is the lowest-lying country on Earth. The Maldives is one of the most sought-after luxury beach destinations in the world. Top attractions, overwater bungalows? The Maldives essentially pioneered this style of accommodation, with resorts built on stilts directly over turquoise lagoons, each typically occupying its own private island or resort atoll. Snorkeling and diving, home to extraordinary coral reef biodiversity, including manta rays, whale sharks, seasonal especially in the south, and vibrant reef fish just steps from the shore. Bioluminescent beaches, certain islands like Vadhu, are known for a natural phenomenon where waves glow blue at night due to bioluminescent plankton. Male, the small dense capital city, worth a brief stop for its fish market, Grand Friday Mosque, and a glimpse of local, non-resort Maldivian life. Local island tourism, a more affordable, culturally immersive alternative to resort islands, where independent travelers can stay in guest houses on inhabited local islands. Food to try mas huni, a traditional Maldivian breakfast of shredded smoked tuna, coconut, onion, and chili, usually eaten with roshi flatbread, fish curry, garudia, a light clear tuna broth soup, often eaten with rice, lime, and chili, considered a Maldivian staple. Hedika, an assortment of Maldivian short eats, savory fried snacks, similar in spirit to tapas, traditionally served with afternoon tea. Resort dining tends to be international and high-end. The more traditional, distinctly Maldivian flavors are easiest to find on local islands rather than resort islands. The Maldives has a long history as a trading hub along ancient Indian Ocean routes, and converted from Buddhism to Islam in the 12th century, which remains the state religion today. It was a British protectorate until gaining full independence in 1965, later becoming a republic in 1968. As the world's lowest-lying country, with an average ground level of just about 1.5 meters, 5 feet above sea level, the Maldives has become a prominent voice in international discussions on climate change and rising sea levels, since much of the country is considered highly vulnerable to them. Number 23. Istanbul is a city unlike any other on Earth. The only city in the world that straddles two continents, with the Bosphorus Strait dividing its European and Asian sides, and layers of Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman history stacked on top of each other. Top attractions: Hagia Sophia, originally built as a Byzantine cathedral in 537 AD, later converted into a mosque under the Ottomans, then a museum and converted back into a mosque in 2020. Its massive dome was an engineering marvel for nearly 1,000 years. Blue Mosque, Sultan Ahmed Mosque, a 17th century mosque famous for its 6 minarets and the blue Iznik tiles lining its interior. Sitting just across from Hagia Sophia, Topkapi Palace, the primary residence of Ottoman sultans for roughly 400 years, now a museum housing imperial treasures, including relics believed to be associated with the Prophet Muhammad. Grand Bazaar, one of the oldest and largest covered markets in the world, with thousands of shops selling carpets, ceramics, jewelry, and spices. Bosphorus Cruise, a boat trip along the strait separating Europe and Asia, passing palaces, fortresses, and waterfront mansions. Basilica Cistern, an underground Byzantine water reservoir supported by hundreds of columns, atmospherically lit and eerily beautiful. Food to try: Turkish kebabs. From doner to Adana to sis, Istanbul has countless regional kebab styles worth trying. Baklava, layers of phyllo pastry, chopped nuts, and honey or syrup. Istanbul has bakeries specializing in it for generations. Turkish tea, no, served in small tulip-shaped glasses, an essential part of daily social life across the city. Meze, an assortment of small meze-style dishes, dips, vegetables, cheeses, commonly shared at the start of a meal. Balik ekmek, grilled fish sandwiches sold from boats along the Galata Bridge and Eminönü waterfront, a classic quick Istanbul bite. Istanbul has been known by several names throughout history. Founded as Byzantium, renamed Constantinople when it became the capital of the Roman Byzantine Empire in 330 AD, and finally Istanbul after the Ottoman conquest in 1453. The Ottoman conquest of Constantinople in 1453, led by Sultan Mehmed II, ended the Byzantine Empire and marked the beginning of nearly 500 years of Ottoman rule, during which the city became the capital of a vast empire spanning 3 continents. Hagia Sophia's dome, completed in 537 AD, was the largest in the world for almost 1,000 years and remains one of the most influential structures in architectural history. Number 24. Dubai is a city in the United Arab Emirates. It transformed from a small fishing and pearling settlement into one of the most futuristic, ambitious cities on Earth in just a few decades. Top attractions: Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world at over 2,700 feet, 828 m, with observation decks on the 124th, 125th, and 148th floors offering views across the entire city and desert beyond. Dubai Mall and Dubai Fountain, one of the largest malls in the world, adjacent to a choreographed fountain show set to music, illuminated at night. Palm Jumeirah, a massive man-made palm tree-shaped island visible from space, lined with resorts and residences. Dubai Marina, a dense, ultra-modern waterfront district of skyscrapers, restaurants, and yacht-lined promenades. Al Fahidi, historic district, and Dubai Creek, a glimpse of old Dubai with wind tower architecture, traditional Abra boat crossings, and the gold and spice souks. Desert safaris, dune bashing, camel rides, and traditional Bedouin-style camps just outside the city are a popular contrast to Dubai's urban side. Food to try: Emirati makbous, a spiced rice dish with meat or fish, similar to biryani, considered a national dish of the UAE. Shawarma, widely available and excellent across the city, reflecting Dubai's broader Middle Eastern and Levantine food influence. Lukaimat, small deep-fried sweet dumplings drizzled with date syrup, a traditional Emirati dessert. Because Dubai's population is majority expatriate, the food scene is extremely international. It's also known for extravagant dining experiences, including gold-flake desserts and Michelin-starred restaurants. Dubai's economy historically centered on fishing, pearl diving, and trade, remaining a relatively small settlement for centuries under the Al Maktoum ruling family, who have governed since 1833. The discovery of oil in the 1960s, though modest compared to neighboring Abu Dhabi, funded early infrastructure development, but Dubai's leadership deliberately diversified into trade, tourism, real estate, and finance rather than relying on oil long-term, which is largely why the city looks the way it does today. The UAE itself was formed in 1971 when Dubai and 6 other emirates united into a single federation after the end of British protectorate status in the region. Number 25. Petra in southern Jordan is one of the most extraordinary archaeological sites in the world. An entire ancient city carved directly into rose-colored sandstone cliffs reached through a narrow, winding gorge. Top attractions: the Sick, a narrow, roughly 1.2 kilometers canyon, with towering walls up to 80 meters high, serving as the dramatic natural entrance corridor into Petra. The Treasury, Al-Kazne, Petra's most iconic facade, carved into the rock, first glimpsed through a narrow gap at the end of the Sick, instantly recognizable from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. The monastery, Ad-Dair, an even larger carved facade than the Treasury, reached via an 800-step climb with far fewer crowds and sweeping desert views. The Royal Tombs, a row of elaborately carved tombs along Petra's outer basin, illustrating the wealth and craftsmanship of the ancient city. Petra by night, a candlelit evening experience where the path to the treasury is lined with thousands of lanterns, accompanied by traditional Bedouin music. Food to try mansaf, Jordan's national dish, lamb cooked in a fermented dried yogurt sauce, jamid, served over rice with almonds and pine nuts, traditionally eaten by hand. Bedouin zarb, meat and vegetables slow cooked in an underground oven, often part of desert camp dining experiences near Petra and Wadi Rum. Meze spread, hummus, baba ganoush, falafel, and fresh flatbread, widely available and excellent throughout Jordan. Jordanian mint tea, commonly offered by Bedouin vendors throughout Petra as a gesture of hospitality. Petra was carved beginning around the 4th century BC by the Nabateans, an Arab trading people who grew wealthy controlling caravan routes for incense, spices, and silk across the ancient Middle East. The treasury's name is something of a misnomer. Despite local legend that it held hidden treasure, visible bullet marks on its urn are from people historically shooting at it hoping to release gold. It was actually built as a royal tomb. Petra declined after the Romans annexed the Nabatean kingdom in 106 AD, and later a major earthquake in 363 AD damaged much of the city. It was largely lost to the Western world until Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt rediscovered it in 1812, though local Bedouin communities had continued living in and around the site all along. And that's the list. Which one is going straight to the top of your bucket list? Drop it in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.